there are actually no negative emotions. But welcome to Six Magic, where we try to turn our hindsight to your foresight. Welcome to the video. Ugo here, and I hope you've had a blessed day. Hit the like button for that YouTube algorithm, as they say, subscribe, and hopefully today's video will add value to you. Now, there's something, in a society where test scores, school, and this education system, it seems very important. University, attaining a degree, most of us, in terms of our careers and qualifications, we pour our whole life into it. But that's just one aspect of us to live in a functional society, which is our IQ, our intellectual quotient. Whereas the other aspect, where people don't actually pay attention to a lot of the times, is their EQ or EI, emotional intelligence, emotional quotient. Now, in this video, basically like trying to enlighten to you that there's actually no such thing as a negative emotion. In fact, all the emotions that you have can be simultaneously positive and negative, provided you're able to look through to understand what those emotions are trying to tell you and what they're trying to be. And this will improve your interaction with yourself and interaction with other people. Now, in terms of emotions, everyone kind of, sometimes we fake it till we make it. So, sometimes we feel that, because this person is angry, this person is bad, or this is an angry kid, or this is a happy kid, or this is, a very emotional person, or this person is X, Y, and Z. And when it comes to a lot of different emotions that we exude, we most times find negatives in pretty much most of them, and the ones that we assume are positive are very positive. Now, someone who's sometimes very happy and only displays happiness, sometimes those people are not necessarily the happiest people. They display happiness as an emotion because they think it's a positive emotion to show, but some of the people who are happy are some of the most sad people internally, and they find themselves in a loop of being so happy and very selfless to people as a trait, but don't find people reciprocating that and showing them any selflessness or providing any happiness to them, because they almost seem that they're self-assured about themselves and they're happy. Similarly, and it's a loop in that sense, kids are deemed angry. Now, for example, if you see an angry kid, people say, oh, he's an angry kid, and then people treat him as an angry kid, when most times people who have anger issues, or, quote unquote anger issues, there's a reason why they are angry. And sometimes you find in some cases that people are angry because, they are not getting loved. You find that a lot of bullies are either being bullied at home, or not getting that emotional support or that love at home, etc. And in a sense, they act out in anger, and then they find themselves in a different loop where people neglect them because they consider them as angry people, and then they get more into anger due to loneliness and all these other things. My point is that every emotion within reason has its function to be there. It is actually not good for you to never display anger. You see people in their relationships say, oh, we've never been angry. We've never been angry. We've never argued. Well, you find that in some situations, or a lot of situations, people have a lot of resentment because they're holding in stuff inside, because they don't want to express any anger. They don't want to express any disappointment. So they're holding it in. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm a blind my eyes and stuff like that. Whenever you have an emotion or emotional reaction to most things, then you want to evaluate why. So if you're jealous, there's a purpose of being jealous. The good thing about jealous is that you have something that somebody has something that you don't have, but in terms of how you act on that is pretty much how that emotion can go to a negative and toxic sense, in terms of now you resent this person, you hate this person because this person has something you don't have, or you move in the sense of this actually motivates you to some extent, that I kind of want what this person has. I want to kind of be like this person, so I'm going to work better to get to this. Within sports, there's a bit of rivalry. Like there's LeBron, Kobe, or whatever, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi. There's a bit of rivalry there that comes from a bit of like, oh, you did that, I'm gonna do that. There's a little bit of hint of jealousy in there, but it's used in the proper way. Anger itself is the same thing. Happiness as well. They say don't make promises when you're happy, don't make decisions when you're angry. There's when you're in the extreme of your states, where there's anger, happiness, lust, all these different kinds of extremes. In the extremes of emotions, it's not really when it's a good time to make certain decisions in your life. But what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that there's no actual negative emotions. How you interpret people's emotions and how you interact with them will better for you to understand what they're actually trying to tell you. Some people might be angry towards you, but the reason why they're angry isn't that they're angry. It's just, you see, okay, for example, in a relationship, your girl's angry at you. It's not that she's angry at you. You did something to annoy her before, and then she's not expressing it, but she's displaying her disappointment and anger. Or some people, they're annoyed at you, or they're a bit hurt, so they display it they're withdrawn. You understand what I mean? And that's how they display it. They just step back, and then that's how they display it. Now, for you, if you understand that, you don't need to understand yourself more in order to communicate with other people. But there's no necessarily negative emotion. Any emotion, take it to extreme. So don't be angry at yourself for being angry. I'm not an angry person. I don't want to be angry. Anger is healthy. Anger is good. Anger most times, happiness is also good. Sadness is good. Have you ever been in a state and been like, I've not had a cry in a while? If you've watched the movie Inside Out, you actually understand how sadness played a very important role in order to validate joy. Joy didn't see it because Joy is like, oh, we gotta be happy all the time. But most of the greatest happiness that she had as Joy actually came from sadness. And what I'm trying to say is that all of those things mean something. There was a time a couple of years ago, I was a senior mentor, and one of the kids out there was they basically did some stuff, and they were kicked out and they were sent home. And then this kid couldn't handle it because of, in his background, what he got caught for doing. Essentially, he knew when he was going to get home he was going to be in trouble. Now this kid, because of our disappointment and frustration and just disappointment in itself and how his parents were going to feel, this kid was angry. He was shouting and everything. And I came down as one of the senior mentors. The other senior mentors were there. They didn't know what to do. He was like banging, blah, blah, blah. And I came to the guy, and then I was like trying to calm him down, and he was like, you go to and like everybody was bare shook. But the thing is, the kid was angry. And I understood why he was angry, but I understood that he wasn't angry, and he wasn't even angry at me, because what happened is that he was there and then he exploded. He pushed me, tried to swing a little, and then ran into his room, jumped out the window and ran out. And then, people were asking me like, oh, Ugo, how are you able to stay calm there? That kid was X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 and I was like, it's blessed, it's all calm, because the whole point of this is that you have to understand what was happening there. The issue, I didn't need to shout at him there, because at that point in time he was beating himself up already. So the anger at that point in time was him just being disappointed in himself. It was shame. It was just he didn't know how to express his emotions. And in that sense, which happens with a lot of guys get socialized to a point where they don't really express themselves, where most of them only know how to express themselves within anger. And that's not basically the most healthiest thing, but if you're become more emotionally intelligent, you'll be able to understand what this person is trying to say. Same thing with other people, where they come socialized to a point where the only way they display some of their emotions is by toxic behavior, resentment, or withdrawal. And this is about everyone trying to understand how their emotions in themselves communicates a lot about what they're trying to do, and how to better facilitate understanding yourself and understanding what other people are actually presenting to you. Because emotions is something you don't always take for face value. It's about interpreting what is this person trying to tell you. Now, in the story I told you, afterwards, this kid sent another kid to come and apologize to me. And I was like, I'm calm, but I appreciate it, because I understood that at that point in time, he was not angry at me. He wasn't angry at anybody. He was just angry at himself. And so sometimes when it comes to emotions, you're looking at people and you dismiss them for their emotions because they're not expressing their emotions in the way you want them to. But you have to understand that we all have our quirks in the way that we display our emotions, but it's important for us to understand how we display our emotions and how other people display theirs, and try to increase our awareness and understanding about how emotions manifest in what people are actually trying to tell us. So even if the person is very happy, or you're very sad, or some people say, oh, he's very sad, I don't want to be with him. We need to understand how we affect each other's emotions. But we also have to understand no emotion is actually inherently bad. It's when you take any emotion to an extreme, it can be bad. If you're very happy, sometimes you can be blinded to the stress that's going around. You can be blinded to someone taking advantage of you, blinded to all these things. If you're sad all the time, you can now see that you miss the joys in life. You miss the little things. You think your life is worse than it might actually be. If you're angry all the time, then again, at that point in time, you're in a cycle of just, hey, everybody don't like me, everybody don't like me. Again, all these emotions are important and they display a function. Even if you're spiritual to some extent, if you look at the Bible, God exuded pretty much almost every emotion. He exuded every emotion, whether it's anger, jealousy, happiness, love, mercy, protection, all of those things. He displayed every emotion that he needed to, barring, maybe sexual desires, but he didn't need to, because the point of that was life, and he did that in the beginning, so he didn't need to express any of that. My point being is that no emotion is inherently bad. Increase your emotional intelligence, and you can do that by trying to understand more about yourself, reflecting, trying to understand more about people, by interacting, volunteering, getting to meet people that are outside your comfort zone, outside your circle, and understand how other people's minds work. Read books, podcast, try to learn, and yeah, in that sense as well, try to heal if you feel that you have any behaviors that are somewhat toxic because they are in an extreme. And if you flip back and forth from one extreme to another, then your biggest job is to learn how you manage your emotions, because it's not a case of which just take me as I am. No, we all need to do better in order for people to take us as we are, but they don't expect us to stay where we are. They expect you to get better as we expect each other to get better. It's a growing thing, and hopefully we'll succeed. This has been Tick's Immersion Scheme, where we try to turn our hindsight into your foresight. There's no negative emotion, but how you use those emotions will determine whether they are negative or not, in terms of if you take them to the extreme. Anything in excess is bad. That's what it is, man. That's what it is. Have a blessed day. And hopefully Arsenal starts winning. Because they're messing with my emotions, man. They're messing with my emotions.